The spring portal opens tomorrow for transfers, and I don't think ASU has that many needs, but I wouldn't say no to another quarterback.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your guide, Richie Bradshaw, for everything Arizona State Sun Devils, from the gridiron to the hard court and everything in between. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On today's agenda, ASU, could they target a quarterback in the spring transfer window? Here's a few people who stand out to me at quarterback. Could ASU target a big name guy, or are they set for 2025? All that coming up on today's show. Richie, why on earth would ASU add a quarterback? Well, believe it or not, this is something that we have discussed on the show previously. And the reason why is not just for this season, but for the upcoming year as well, 2026. Here's the thing. Sam Leavitt, redshirt sophomore. By the way, not going to Tennessee. Tennessee fans, holy cow, you guys are fierce. I thought I was being nice to you guys, and you went right for my throat. So, I mean, that's something. But Sam Leavitt, redshirt freshman, he is eligible for the 2026 NFL draft if he has another season like what he did. You know, we'll say like 35 to 4,000 passing yards, around 30 touchdowns, and keep those picks low like he did last year. He does that. He could easily declare for the draft and decide to go pro. And don't get me wrong, like next year's quarterback class, ridiculous, because it turns out the 2023 recruiting class for quarterbacks, a ton of those guys hit. Now, some of them have transferred recently, Nico Iamaleava, but they, as a whole, a lot of them have worked out pretty well. And then you have some seniors and everything. So next year's class looks good. But if Sam Leavitt does what he did this past season and builds on it, yeah, he might be a first-round pick. He could be gone for the pros. Jeff Sims, the primary backup. First of all, he's not looking too bad in spring ball right now. And I think it's kind of building that comfort with the same system, the same scheme that he was in a year ago. So we'll see. I mean, you still don't expect him to start games or put up gaudy numbers when he has to come on the field, but it is nice to see that your backup quarterback is making some strides. But he's been in college for a minute. This is his last year of eligibility. I believe this is year 6 for him. So whatever happens after this year, there is a massive chance that you do not have a quarterback returning with any significant snaps. Look at what's on this team right now. There's true freshman Michael Tollefson, former 4-star, dropped to a 3-star for what I would consider political reasons. Neither here nor there. And then walk-ons Navi Bruzan and Christian Hunt. That's it. That is all that is scheduled to be on the team for next year. You do have Cam Dyer, 4-star athlete, quarterback, receiver. I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that Kenny Dillingham has insisted he wants him to play with the quarterbacks, but he's not going to be on the field this year. He's recovering from an ACL injury. Next year, Jake Fetty is committed. He is one of the top 15, not top 20, he's for sure top 20, top 15 to top 10 quarterbacks in the 2026 recruiting cycle. ASU's really excited about him. So you could have Cam Dyer, Jake Fetty competing with each other next year and throw in one of those other guys as well. Butter Tollefson, Navi Bruzan, maybe Christian Hunt. You could have a decent little room. There are no snaps in that room. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. There is nothing there. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'll tell you at this time next year, when spring ball is wrapping up for 2026 Sun Devils and there's no Sam Leavitt and there's no Jeff Sims, I'm gonna be paying attention to that quarterback spot like I never have before. Because we don't know what to expect. And that's exciting and terrifying at the same time. It's exciting because you're going to have what I would consider 3 4-star quarterbacks in there. But at the same time, you're not guaranteed anything. And the success that we have seen so far under Kenny Dillingham has been with these these really good mobile quarterbacks and everything. And you do have that with Dyer and with Fetty and everything. And there is all sorts of potential. But at least when Sam Leavitt had transferred from Michigan State to Arizona State, he had 3 games of experience, or 4 games. I think he had 4 games because Jaden Rashada had 3 games. At least he had been on the field. These guys are unlikely to be on the field. So let's bring it back to the point. Why should we add a quarterback? Because it would really, really benefit the team to have someone in that room next year who has taken not just some snaps, but a significant amount of snaps. So we're going to talk in the second segment about some guys that I'm going to be looking for at the quarterback position, and then some other names as well. That's coming up next. But I need ASU to really take a look at quarterbacks in the spring portal. And if they don't, then I would tell you it's a borderline emphasis when we get to the winter portal at the end of the year. But I would prefer it. And it's not that I don't have confidence in this room, especially for this upcoming season. I think you have one of the best quarterbacks in the country and one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, certainly with Sam Leavitt. And if Jeff Sims really is improving, then you have a little bit more confidence at your backup than you did previously. And that is worth something in college football. It's worth something. But as far as next year, there just won't be anything. And again, that's not a bad thing. You're going to have 2 4-stars with Cam Dyer and Jake Fetty competing. And Navi Bruzon and Christian Hunt and Michael Tollefson will be here, presumably, as well. It will be a talented room. There's just no snaps. So with the spring portal opening up, I would like to look at guys that still have time to play. At least one more season. Like I'm looking at juniors, redshirt sophomores, guys like that. But I need guys who have played snaps of college football. Like I'm not looking for a redshirt freshman. Like let's say one of the freshmen from this upcoming class, a freshman quarterback, doesn't get the time on the field that they're hoping for, and they end up entering the transfer portal, and they're like a 3-star kind of guy at the end of the season. Like, sure, it could be cool to look at them, but that doesn't really fix anything for me. I need someone that has playing time. Like, that's a pivotal thing for me as I look ahead at the transfer portal. When you ask me, hey, Richie, what do you want from the transfer portal? I want a kid, I want a quarterback who has seen the field. That is something that I would tell you, if you're adding a quarterback, I'd say that's a borderline non-negotiable. I need someone that's seen the field. Multiple starts. Multiple years, preferably. I don't want someone who is super young and hasn't gone on the field as much. So that's something that I really need. I don't need a young guy. I don't need the unproven, high potential, high ceiling guys. I don't need that. I'm going to have that next year. I need someone that has played college football significantly. We're going to talk about those guys coming up next. Quarterbacks, and should ASU make a big splash with some big names? Coming up next is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me talk to you about our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Unfortunately, if you're a Suns fan, you don't have that coming. But good news, every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge for you other teams. It's an electric arena. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it without stress of buying last-minute tickets. Game Time makes it easy and quick to get your playoff tickets, even when demand is high. Prices on the app are actually going to go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Here's why I use Game Time, because I've used them before for my own playoff games and for other stuff too, not just sports, comedy events, theater events, concerts, all that good stuff. So again, 60% off for last-minute tickets, and they have an all-in pricing feature. When you go to checkout, you see exactly what you pay. There's no hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils and making us your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Richie, we want to add a transfer quarterback in the portal. We sure do. Well, who should we be looking at? That's what I am here to let you guys know about. I have my eye on two quarterbacks specifically, one other quarterback who is interesting, and one other one. Here's the two quarterbacks that I want to take a look at. The first one is Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson is coming from Georgia State. He has quite a bit of time under his belt as a senior. Now, I know I said I don't want a senior quarterback, or I don't necessarily want one. I may prefer someone who's got more time, but this is a guy that I could get on board with, mainly because as a senior, he's had a lot of playing time under his belt. He has spent time between Akron, Georgia Tech, and Georgia State this past year. He has attempted over 100 passes in each of the last 4 seasons. It's not much there running, which is one of the things that would kind of, turn me off about looking at him. And it's not like he's this proven established guy. He has 3 seasons under 60% completion percentage, and then 2 seasons over 67%. Kind of a weird, hard to predict guy. I don't know if he's got eligibility past this year, but you know what? I never know at this point. Guys can be 7-year players and still have 3 more years of eligibility. I just can't keep up with that stuff. So maybe he does. And that would be something that would intrigue me. But I also just love the amount of time that he has been on the field. His first year in Akron, 2019, he threw the ball 81 times. That's still something, man. That's still something. Whether he started 4 games and threw 20 passes a game. Sounds like he played 4 games to me. And then again, the next 4 seasons, despite being at 3 different programs, he attempted over 104 passes, at least in each of those 4 years. That's someone with a ton of experience. That's someone that I am targeting. That fits the criteria that I want, even though he may not be the most mobile guy in the world, which I'm not going to lie to you, is a very, very important aspect here for me. I need that guy that has the ability to move, because that's something that this Kenny Dillingham offense has really structured their strengths around. The first year of Jaden Rashada, and when Trenton Bourguet came out and they they bring in Drew Pine. All those guys have something in common, is they are trying to be passers first, but if a play breaks down, they can move. So that's something that's important. And look at this past year. Sam Leavitt proves he is a true dual threat quarterback, and I will die on that hill. And then Jeff Sims is one of the most notable running quarterbacks of the last several years. So Kenny Dillingham has a type. He doesn't need a dual threat quarterback, but he needs a guy that he knows when the play breaks down is not afraid to run. Zach Gibson's not really that. So that's something that I think could make him kind of a lower candidate. Here's another guy I'm looking at, Brendon Sullivan, coming from Iowa. He is going into his senior year, I believe. He's got 3 years under his belt, 2 years with Northwestern, 1 year with Iowa this past year. Last year at Iowa, he only attempted 53 passes. The 2 years before that, 96 passes in 2022, 99 passes in 2023. Here's one of the things that I really like about him. He runs. Last year, take away the sacks, he ran 40 times in limited action. The year before that with Northwestern, take away the sacks, he ran the ball 51 times. The year before that, take away the sacks, he ran the ball 43 times. He has, in that time, 7 touchdowns as well. So is he an elite runner? No. Is he an experienced runner? I'd say so. Passing, again, not too much volume, not too much wild success. You're looking at 13 touchdowns against 8 interceptions over 3 seasons, but There's experience. Check that box off. He can move. Check that box off. He's got another year of eligibility. Check that box off. I would love Zach Gibson. If I'm looking for someone that fits my criteria perfectly, it's Brendon Sullivan. Two guys that'd be really interesting to me. First of all, Braden Dorman, redshirt freshman, or going into his redshirt sophomore year at Arizona. Now, he has not gotten on the field in 2 years. And part of that is because I almost said Navi Bruzon. Noah Fafita has held down that position for the Wildcats. And it's hard to usurp a guy who has proven themselves to be a solid to above average quarterback. Hard to get that guy off the field. So he's there for 2 years. He can't get on the field. He is in the transfer portal. I just think it'd be funny to bring him in. I always think it's funny when Arizona players come to Arizona State and then find success a la Jigabrich Kongaika. Now, could Braden Dorman do that? I don't know, especially for a guy who hasn't been on the field and may not find the field with Arizona State either, but it'd be funny. Another guy that's really interesting to me, we'll put it on the table. Could you bring back Jaden Rashada? You could. Should you? I'd tell you no, but again, it's just a really interesting case here. He has been in the portal since the winter window. He has not been linked anywhere significantly in terms of Power 4. There is a lot of smoke with him to Western Kentucky, which very interesting. Now, could Jaden Rashada return? Again, not for me, but I wouldn't rule it out only because he may still have a relationship with this staff. Remember, his freshman year and coming out of high school, he was bouncing all over the place. He went to Miami, committed there. He flipped his commitment to Florida, flipped his commitment again, and comes to Arizona State, who was coming off a 3-win season. So he clearly was sold on a program that was not winning as many games as the Hurricanes and the Gators. There's something that he liked about the coaching staff, and Kenny Dillingham is still here. So if that relationship is still intact, maybe Kenny Dillingham reaches out to Jaden Rashada and says, hey, you are someone that knows the team a little bit. Obviously, it's a new offensive coordinator. It's Marcus Arroyo now. It's not Bo Baldwin anymore. Now, granted, Kenny Dillingham took over halfway through the season anyways, but Rashada also doesn't have a lot of playing time under his belt, so he doesn't really fit it for me, and also I just think he burned his bridge out here. But can't rule it out. I guess we'll see what happens. Here's some interesting guys in the portal that maybe ASU could go after, and these are like high-profile names. Would be very, very interesting. I have 3 guys in particular, and I want to throw a name at you guys. First name, and this is someone I'd be really, really excited to get, is Joe Cotton, offensive tackle from South Dakota. You want a South Dakota quarterback? You're darn right I do. You are darn right I do. Now, here's the problem. He already has the do not contact label on him in the transfer portal, which means he more than likely has his landing spot. He more than likely already knows where he's going. I don't know if that's Arizona State, and I've heard nothing about it. So I am counting him out, but he's got 2 more years of eligibility, I believe, and he has been a high-level starter for, I actually don't know what South Dakota's mascot is. My apologies, University of South Dakota. But he's got playing time left, and he's played at a high level. FCS, sure, but with the right coaching, he could translate. He sits for a year at Arizona State. Josh Atkins runs out of eligibility next year. Maybe Jalen Clem is out too. Max Yoniker is going to be out, and boom, spot right there for Joe Cotton. Another interesting name for me is Julian Neal. He's a corner from Fresno State. We just added a player from Fresno State in Jalen Moss, the wide receiver. So there's already a connection there. And, these guys talk to each other. And maybe Jalen reaches out to Julian and says, hey, there's a good thing going down here. If you're looking for a spot, come to Arizona State. Now, here's the interesting thing. Corner is a good spot for Arizona State right now. They don't need a corner. You've got your starters with Javen Robinson and Keith Abney locked down. Off the bench, you've got Nyland Green and you've got Rodney Bimage, who are competing for that number 3 role. If you want to continue adding guys to fight for that, then Julian Neal is that guy. And he's got eligibility beyond this year. So with Nyland Green only being here 1 year, you're still going to be able to stack that room. Plus, if Keith Abney and Jaden Robinson have good years, they get declared for the pros. They are both going to be eligible. So he'd be a move for the future. He'd also be a move for right now. And he's just a player, period, that would make the room better. 2 names that are really interesting to me. First one, Micah Hudson, wide receiver, Texas Tech. What a polarizing guy. Former 5-star recruit. Highest recruit that Texas Tech has ever landed. Transfers after his freshman year, couldn't get on the field. Commits to Texas A&M in the winter, leaves the program like 2 months later, something like that. So he's back in the portal. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means. Could ASU add him? I guess we could see you're looking to add talent and competition to wide receiver. Hard to get more talent than a former 5-star kid, but I do wonder what's going on. I don't have a insider background information for what's going on with Micah Hudson. He's a big name. I don't know if he's a guy you look at. One name I want to throw out to you guys. Jaydn Ott, the Cal running back, entered the portal yesterday. He is a 4-star running back. He is the second highest recruit in the portal behind Nico Iamaleava, who, by the way, 24/7 is linking to North Carolina. That'd be interesting. ASU is stacked at running back. Jaydn Ott, I believe, only has 1 more year of eligibility. It would be super unnecessary because of how stacked ASU is at running back. But would you look at it? Because you'd be adding a future NFL running back. And the room is reloading with Cam Scadaboo gone. Like, you love Kanye Udo, you love Kyson Brown, you love Raleek Brown. You could look at Jaydn Ott, who's the most proven out of all of those guys, but do you need to? I don't know. And I'm going to leave that up for you guys to let me know how you feel. Drop a comment. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Is ASU completely set for 2025? I think that they might be. Coming up next, this is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me tell you about our friends over at Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account, wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances, because Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial control center. You can track all your accounts, all your investments, and spending all in one place. So stop managing your money and start building wealth. When I took a look at Monarch Money, I did not realize how much delivery services for foods that I was using and how I'm budgeting and packing my own lunch to save that money. So it's just nice to have that in front of me. And again, you can track everything. I don't need multiple apps to look at my finances, track my spending, or plan long-term goals. And managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever too, because you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Again, thanks as always for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils and making us your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Richie, are the Sun Devils good to go in the transfer portal? Do they need to add anything? Well, I think that you're in a really good spot. We'll start there. I am also someone that would tell you, like, it's never a bad thing to continue adding talent, adding competition, and adding guys with eligibility beyond this season to a young, talented roster. You can never have enough of it. And ASU brought back a lot from last season. They could lose a lot of it next year. And there's a lot of seniors on this team, but there's a lot of future NFL players. I mentioned Sam Leavitt. I mentioned the corners. You could also lose some of your defensive linemen. CJ Fight could decide to go pro. You could lose on offense Jordan Tyson. You could lose Kyson Brown. You could lose Kanye Udo. There's a lot of guys on this roster that could be declaring for the pros, along with seniors like Keyshawn Elliott, half your offensive line, Shimon Mateer, Xavier Alford, Miles Rouser. there's going to be a lot of guys that are gone. So I am all about adding competition for the future. But as far as 2025 goes, I do think that, first of all, because ASU suffered very minimal damage from the winter portal, they're returning a ton of their production from last year, but they're also bringing back so many guys that were listed on the top of the depth chart and the second team on the depth chart. So you didn't just return starters from last year. You returned guys who were super important for the bench and pushing guys in front of them. That's worth its weight in gold. So because you returned so much and because you didn't lose that much, and it does depend, tomorrow the portal could open and 10 kids from ASU leave and some of them were primary backups. That could happen. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. And if it does, then yeah, you need to be active. But I don't know that I'm anticipating any big moves, certainly not Sam Leavitt. So I just don't think you really need to attack the portal. Now, if you did attack the portal for positions that I think there's just so much competition to, it's tight end, offensive guard, particularly defensive tackle and defensive back, whether that's corners or safeties. There is a lot of competition there that ASU doesn't really need to add talent to, but there's a lot of guys who could depart from those four positions: tight end, offensive guard, defensive tackle, defensive back, because of the amount of competition. And you do have seniors at all four of those spots, and they may go, look, I want to get on the field for my last season. I don't want to sit here on a depth chart. I don't want to sit here in a situation where I'm not going to get on the field when I am trying to play for my pro prospects. That is a very real, very realistic possibility that you lose guys from there. So then you start to go, do I need to add guys now? Do I trust what's there? I don't know. As the roster currently stands, and this is pending no severe movement, ASU will have transfers tomorrow. But if we are not talking about guys that are seriously important pieces for this season and for the future, quarterback is an A+. You're in a great situation, but as I said at the top of the show, I am not opposed to adding a guy, especially with eligibility. Running back, you are incredibly deep. There's 3 starters on this team with Raleek Brown, Kyson Brown, and Kanye Udo. Don't sleep on Alton McCaskill. Receiver is better. Similar to quarterback, I wouldn't mind adding another guy, bring in bodies, bring in competition, all that good stuff. But it's not a necessity to do that. Tight end is full. There is no room for another tight end on this team right now. Offensive line, there's tons of competition from the outside to the inside. No one is safe, and that's a very good thing. If we were to add someone, I'd like a true center, because Ben Coleman is kicking inside from left guard to center. And I think that transition looks good so far in camp, but that's not a guarantee that by the time training camp rolls around in the fall, that's going to be the case moving forward. Maybe the start of the season is a little bit rough. And ASU doesn't have this like slam dunk center on the team right now. There's guys with some experience. So if you're going to add someone in the portal, I would like a proven center. Defensively, edge rusher still kind of a 2-man race right now behind Clayton Smith. It's Elijah O'Neal, it's Prince Dorva. If you wanted to add a guy there, I'm good with it, but that's not a position that I'm dying to get, because I like what's there and I like what's behind them at linebacker. We'll get to that in a second. Defensive tackle, it's incredibly deep. To me, that is the most likely position that could see transfers. If we see anyone leave this program, my top bet is it would be the interior guys, because it's going to be tough to get on the field. Linebacker, there's a lot of there's a lot of depth. It's a deep spot. There's also a lot of rotation. We saw that last year. We saw Keyshawn Elliott was really the only consistent starter last year, because Cyrus Viaseu started the year as the guy right next to him, and by the end of the year, he was rotating in with Caleb McCullough, and Jordan Crook came on late. I have said many times, and I will continue to hammer home and beat the drum, that Tate Romney is healthy. You need to consider him as well. Deep spot. But I don't really think there's going to be a ton of transfers because so much rotation happens. Corner, you got your outside parts figured out. You kind of know what's going on with your nickel guy. So it's really just good competition at that point. I don't know that there's necessarily one guy who can really make a ton more out of what's going on than what they have right now. And then at safety, after Xavier Alford and after Miles Rouser, it's anybody's fight. And that's a very good thing. So Montana Warren and Kyan McDonald and Chris Johnson Jr. and some of the other guys are on this team. I think that's a really good spot for them to be in. So ASU's in a great place right now, despite what anyone wants to tell you, which is why they shouldn't feel pressured to go through the transfer portal. I would love them to still go through the portal, bring in a handful of guys, and if you lose some big names, then yeah, let's attack it. Could you add a quarterback? I'd be here for it. Could you add a big name guy in the portal like a Micah Hudson or a Jaydn Ott? I don't know, but I wouldn't rule it out. Jaydn Ott feels like pretty much you can rule that out, but who knows? Micah Hudson, very interesting guy. I'm not saying avoid the portal, but I am saying Kenny Dillingham should feel very confident in what's already on this team. What do you guys think? How is your confidence level with this current team? What position would you add? Am I crazy for wanting to get a quarterback? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36 or the podcast at LO_Sun Devils, wherever you're getting your shows. Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll get an update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils and making us your first listen of the day. A shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Transfer portal is opening up tomorrow for the spring. I will be keeping you up to date with all of that good stuff. We'll be taking a look at college basketball as well because there's a lot of stuff going on there. Now has never been a better time to subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys next time. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.